Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. So excited that you guys are all here tonight. And as I was saying, I wish we were in person, but next time maybe. So I know we have people from all over the place. So I wanted to first welcome you guys and just say I'm so appreciative that you showed up because I know how busy everyone is. And when you think about it, um, there's so many things that we can attend that can teach us and sell us something and produce something. And I feel like this is a conversation. I'm not here to sell you anything. You're here and you're showing up because you're interested in who we are and what we do. So thank you so much for that. And what I would love is if people could just go ahead. We don't have time for formal introductions, but we are going to do breakout groups where people will have a chance later to do some introductions. Um, if you could maybe just put in the chat where you're from and what you're practicing, what kind of coach or healer or practitioner that you are, just to give people a sense of who's on the call. So just feel free to pop that in and your location. Okay, awesome. So North Carolina, yay, we've got another person, Sarah from Awesome. Perla, thanks for coming. And Susan from San Francisco. Yay, Susan, thanks for popping on. And Christina from New Hampshire. Awesome. So Nanette from Detroit. So we're all over the country. Definitely lots of people from New Hampshire. Um, Sarah, who's in Asheville, North Carolina. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much for popping in there. Rhode Island, moving upstate, moving to South Carolina. Awesome. Belchertown, Mass. Okay, well, we've definitely got a mix of types of practitioners and places. Jacksonville, Florida. Awesome. Emotional resilience, advocate for women with chronic illness. I love that. Awesome. So definitely a whole array of women and a whole array of locations. And again, just thanks so much for showing up because I know again how busy it can be, and we're kind of showing up for each other here. We're not here to get a prescription or a solution or anything. We're here to have some conversation. And I think that's really important these days when so much of what's out there is um, you know, very polarized and opinionated and prescribed and political and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's important more than ever that we have conversation, right? That conversation can bring up ideas, it can bring up inspiration, it can give voice to new words and new ideas. And in ancient times, they said that it was they called the wise women conversation women, which I think is really cool because I don't think we always give things the space and the time that they need. So I'm really excited that we're going to explore some things tonight that will hopefully inspire us and give us all some ideas. I truly, honestly believe in the work that all of us do, and I think now more than ever, people need help. People are starving to get to know their bodies. People are starving to reduce their stress. And I really think that, and 10 years ago, if you had started talking about energy healing and meditation, even then it really wasn't very common or popular, but increasingly, I think people are being much more open to it, exploring this whole mind-body connection. I'm seeing it, and I would love to hear if other people are just seeing this. How are you feeling about really, we've had COVID, so that's kind of really thrown a whole another dynamic into these last couple years. But if other people are kind of feeling this momentum, this movement towards, people being more open to preventative wellness and more mind-body connection and mind-body awareness, all those kinds of things, I would love to hear from you. Yes, awesome. Sarah, yes, planetary awakening is happening. And I truly believe that we're in this really special time. And I really think that in 50 years that they're going to look back and say, there was this huge revolution of women in wellness. And that's what really changed things. That's what really put, made this much more accessible and attainable to people. And we really have a big role in defining this. And we work individually, but collectively, I think we have a huge role here. And there's not really an association or a system that kind of pulls us all together and creates this, voice that we really have in this vision. So that's why I really wanted to talk about this tonight. Um, I became a health coach when I was having lots of health problems, and it was my transformation that really brought me to this. And I don't even think I've said my name, but I'm Tracy Miller, and I am the founder of the Women's Wellness Exchange. And I really started the Women's Wellness Exchange because of one, the health transformation that I went through, and two, because of, what it was like when I became a health coach. And really, what I wanted to do was to provide or to cultivate a community that I wish I had when 13, 15 years ago, when I became a health coach and, jumped ship from the corporate world and started, running my business by myself, and I had no support. I didn't know any other entrepreneurs. I knew some other health coaches, and we were all kind of struggling this. I also wanted to provide a platform where people could go to get resources that I didn't have. I just kept going from doctor to doctor to find what they're looking for, a health coach, someone to help them manage their stress, a life coach, whatever, or to find what they didn't even know existed, right? Which is so important because sometimes people need help, but they can't even define what it is that they need. And to really just create a community of like-minded women who get this, who are passionate about, this transformation, as we say, because we probably, most of us went through this health transformation, and now we want to offer that to other people. And I think that's something that really draws us together, that creates this affinity for what we do and who we're showing up as and why we do this. And that's a really, really important thing. And because not everyone gets us, right? As entrepreneurs, as healers. So we're really trying to, carve out this niche. And I think it's important for us to be collective and to kind of have this voice and support each other along the way. And I think so many of us just get into our silos, like we're just hunkered down as we do in our yoga pants and do our work. And I think, it's important that we know that there's support out there, that we can connect, and that we're all kind of going through the same things. And I've heard this over and over again, that women just feel isolated and they want to connect with like-minded people. So tonight we are going to talk about what our role is, or what we think our role is in kind of this wellness movement, right? Whatever this is, this, big, movement that's happening that really is a multi-billion-dollar industry when you think about it. It's the food industry. Even big pharma, big biotech companies are getting into what they call well care, right? So that well care is, preventative things. And now they're starting to define this. So I think it's more important than ever that we have a say in this, that we are also saying we are defining this. We're the ones in the, communities, in the schools, we're the ones meeting people where they are, listening to people, helping people become accountable, helping empower people. And that's what people need. They don't need to show up just in a doctor's office and get their blood pressure taken. They need something deeper, and I think people are craving for it. And even the medical system knows that, but they're not cut out to do that because they're all about the biometrics and things like that. So you can't always measure what we do, but it doesn't mean that it's not important. So I just really, want to have a conversation about this. And then the other part of this, which we're going to talk about tonight, is our role as women, women wellnesspreneurs, if you may, and how we show up for ourselves in this movement and for our businesses, right? We don't want to do it like everyone else does. We don't want to do it, like so many of us have this like vision of the sleazy salesperson, and, we don't like sales. We don't like the business part so much, but yet that's really important for us to show up in this movement, right? We need to get the word out. We can't just put our website up and hope that 1 million people show up and understand what we do. So we need to clarify our voice. We need to have a vision for who we are and what we offer, and what we offer as far as a transformation. So it's a really important part of our work, and I don't think women should underestimate that. And not all of us love it or are good at it, but it's a really important part of our business. So, what is our role in the wellness movement, and how, as women, are we showing up for that? And it's taken me a lot to kind of cultivate these two questions, but this is what has really been percolating for me and Sue. And Sarah and I have been, had some Zoom meetings and stuff to talk about this. So that's what we're going to bring in tonight. So I will, and I love all the comments. So keep those coming. And as we go through and talk tonight, I hope as things resonate, words resonate, ideas resonate, questions resonate. Again, so important that we build this paradigm by asking questions and not just by replicating the old paradigm. So if questions come up tonight, I hope you'll pop them in, and we're definitely going to have lots of times for conversation as well. So I wanted to introduce our two panelists tonight, and just thank them so much for being here and again taking their time. So I'll first introduce Susan McNamara. Sue and I have known each other. You can wave, Sue, and I'll turn it over to you guys in a second. Sue and I have known each other through a mutual friend for many years. We both went to health coaching or Institute for Integrative Nutrition many years ago and didn't even know it because we were kind of hooked up through friends. And it was about, I don't know, August 2020 after COVID hit. And I remember calling her. We would touch base a few times a year. And I called her and I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I supposed to do in the world? And how am I going to do this? And how am I going to show up? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. So we both ended up getting together that following weekend, talked for about 48 hours straight, and ended up creating some programs together. And we host retreats together for women. And again, that voice, that cultivation as women, this is how a lot of us, let things rise up through talking. And anyway, so we really just both needed at the time and collectively came together and created some things. Sue is so many things, and I can read some of her credentials, but I think what I love about Sue, especially in the day and time that we live in, is that Sue really leads her life with her values and her convictions, which, around health, around her food, around raising her children, around the environment, all those things, which is really hard to do these days, right? Because we're all busy and it's all so easy to just take the easy route, even when we know, in our hearts, we would like to do something different. So I just really, really admire Sue for that. She's, as I mentioned, a holistic health counselor, a shamanic practitioner, a journey guide dancer. She's has a master's in counseling, and she also teaches as a professor at Westfield University, or Westfield, State University in Massachusetts. So she's located out in Western Mass. So thanks, Sue, for being here. And I'm going to introduce Sarah, and then Sue's going to jump in first, and then Sarah's going to talk after that. So, so Sarah, wave. So Sarah, I met on YouTube, and I'm not sure, I don't know. Sometimes you find something on YouTube and sometimes it finds you. So I can't remember if YouTube directed her towards me or I was searching. I can't even remember, but I saw her TEDx talks, and I've included that in most of all the emails and things. And I hope you guys have had a chance to look at that. And I really love what Sarah had to say in her TEDx talk about really the masculine, the feminine, the yin and the yang, and her beautiful story. And I really love how she defines herself. And I think, it's so easy to just define ourselves as our titles or the work that we do. But she says she's a true seeker, a soul traveler, a former school creator turned feminine masculine integration expert. She runs a podcast called Sacred Remembering. And she is the creator of the embodied breath practice, bridging feminine and masculine conscious embodiment, which I think is so beautiful. And a lot of times we just talk about the feminine, but really it's about balancing that. So Sarah's going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So, and I'll let Sue and Sarah chime in with anything else that they want to add to their bio. So the plan tonight is that Sarah and Sue will each talk for about 10-12 minutes. And then we're going to open things up for discussion. I've got some questions here, but I really want to see what comes up. And I would love for you guys to, we'll provide some time for comments and then see how things go. And we'll either break up into groups, or if we want to stay as a group, we'll do that. But so I'm going to turn it over to Susan. And again, feel free to chat and put comments in the chat section, but Susan's going to open up and really talk. And I know she thinks so much about this. We've had so many great conversations about this new paradigm for wellness and self-care and this movement that we're talking about. So Sue, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to you right now.
Thanks, Tracy. Hi, everyone. It's good to see. I'm just kind of looking around. It's nice to see familiar faces and new faces. And I just want to start off by thanking Tracy, because it's been an amazing thing that she's created with the Women's Wellness Exchange, of finding ways to bring all of us together and to be able to do things like what we're doing tonight. So I really thank you, Tracy. I really, and Tracy's been amazing support to me. And I know that any of you who know her have had the same experience. Like, she really wants to bring each one of us forward, and really wants to find moments like this where we can come together and we can kind of step off the treadmill of what we're doing, and we can take that larger view, which I think is what tonight is all about, is like, what is the vision? What do we want to see? How do we want things to go? Which is such a radical departure from, I think, kind of being in certain paradigms or certain belief systems, and you just kind of do it and you go along because that's all you know. And when I was thinking about talking tonight, I went in so many different directions, and there's so many things that I want to say. But I think in the end, what I've really come to is that it really is about each one of us individually finding our own voice, and then coming together to collectively, from this bottom up, grassroots, very organic kind of way of coming together like this, and really parceling out, like, what do we want? What is actually worthy of the value of the preciousness of our lives? Because I don't know about all of you, but when I look back at my whole lineage of, like, how I've come through from when I started as a kid. And, as a kid, you're just in whatever system you wind up in. You don't even know that there's any other way to be. And then coming into my mid 20s, and nothing really working for me, like, not healthy in my body, low self-esteem, not liking myself at all. And coming to this place where I was just like, there's got to be something else. But when I was looking around in the systems that I was in, I wasn't getting a clear reflection of, hey, there's another way to go, or like that yearning. And even that dissatisfaction is something that you want to hold on to, and you want to be okay with that dissatisfaction. And for a long time, I wasn't. For a long time, I felt like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just fit into the existing paradigms? Why isn't it enough? It seems like it's enough for everybody else. And to watch myself move through that, and then all the way into having kids, when it really burst open for me, and I really stepped out of, sort of the mainstream stuff and what I was given. And it was a really, really powerful experience. And it was a really lonely experience, because a lot of times I looked around and I couldn't find myself anywhere. And it took an enormous amount of will, an enormous amount of effort, to be ushering my children forward and not be in like a larger community. I mean, I certainly, like, I had my husband and I had certain people that I could go to. And now to be at this place where it's just like, I'm no longer willing to be on the fringe of society. And I'm also no longer willing to define this new paradigm, this vision of health and healing, which I really think about as a way of being. Like, for me, it encompasses everything. It's not just this one little slice of our lives, but it's how we live our lives in total. And so to come from this place too, where I would still find myself at times referencing the old systems. I don't know if you all have ever done that, right? Where you know that the old thing isn't working, you know it doesn't make any sense to you, but you still sort of keep looking at it and being like, how do I measure up according to that? And then today I was sort of reminded about in the early days with my kids, and so that was like mid 90s, and it was, there certainly wasn't as much available online as there is now. And I remember I had this like file cabinet, and every single time that I would see something in like Mothering Magazine, or I would see some article, I would cut it out and I would put it in that file. And I started to like amass this whole file. And what I realized at a certain point was I was amassing that file to protect myself. So that when they came knocking at my door and they were going to drag me out and like burn me at the stake in front of my house, I was going to have that folder and I was going to be like, no, look, it, see, it really is valid. It really is, and that whole way of like a dissertation and needing to prove. And now I find myself at this place where I feel like what we're talking about is something unto itself. It is unto itself. It is not defined by that other system. And I find myself in this place of knowing that in my bones, and also that it's being created as we go. So I keep having this image of myself as I am the one giving birth. I am the one being birthed. I am attending to my own birth. And it's just this like multi-dimensional thing that keeps like reflecting back on itself like over and over again. But there's also a great vulnerability in that, to be by yourself, right? Like I have that thought as a woman, you're like, you're trying to birth your own baby, you're birthing yourself, you're in the process. You need the support of other women around you, of other brave souls who are willing to say, like, I don't want to define myself against that. I don't want to be limited by that other thing anymore. I want my own thing unto itself that I don't have to defend or prove, justify, or rationalize to anyone. And when I think about what it is that we're in right now, I keep thinking about like paradigms as like maps. And I know that this is really obvious, but I feel like sometimes we get like tripped up on this. Like, I know that everybody here, I know we don't use maps anymore, but if you had a map or even like on your phone, right, you would know that Google Maps is not actually the territory itself, right? That like these paradigms that have been created around health and healing were just somebody's best guess at a certain particular point in time that said, we're living in this universe. It's more than we can comprehend. We got to have something. We got to have some model of reality so that we don't feel like we're going to go insane, right? We have to have some way of understanding like what it is that we're experiencing. But my experience these days is we're referencing not only some very old and very outdated paradigms, but super destructive. And I am sick of it. Like, I am sick of having to answer to what I consider to be destructive paradigms when it comes to like our health and healing. And so what I see of us doing here right now is understanding that whatever model, whatever paradigm, we create together, it's always going to be limited somehow, right? Because it's never going to be able to completely capture the full picture of like what our bodies are capable of, or to be in the universe. And I I'm good with including that. Like, I want to include that because I think that that's part of the reason why we're in the situation we are right now, is because in the current kind of conventional system, there's an unwillingness to accept that it is a limited view, right? And so if we don't do that, we're always going to be running the risk of mistaking the map for the territory. And yeah, so I think I want to pause there for a moment, because when I'm thinking about what it is that we're doing, I feel like this, I don't feel like it, this comes from a different place than the rational mind. And so what I would love to do in the sort of remaining minutes of like my time together with you is I would love to just do a group kind of meditation, breathing, so that we can drop into that more visionary place inside of us. So I'd love if everybody would just kind of pick up your bottom for a second off the chair so that you just give your spine a little bit of more space. And then when you let yourself come back down again, let both of your feet come underneath you. Give yourself a bit of a wide stance so you feel like you've got that good birthing stance, where you're just like you're grounded, you're open. And if it feels good to you, just allow your eyes to close. And if closing your eyes doesn't feel good, just take that soft gaze down. And so this is our opportunity here together to first of all welcome ourselves into this circle. And so by that, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in right now. It doesn't matter what your body's doing in this moment. It doesn't even matter the particular struggles that you're having at this point in your life. What does matter, as far as I'm concerned in this paradigm, is that we get to show up as is, that all of us is welcome here, that no part is left out. And so in your mind's eye, as if you could imagine gathering all the little parts of yourself, like any good mother would, just gathering all of those parts that sometimes we don't want to be here, and letting all of those parts and all of those voices be here. Letting your awareness come onto your breath. And just for the next few cycles, just let yourself be a woman here breathing. Breathing with other women who have same yearnings, same desires, same frustrations, same visions, different facets of the same vision. And knowing that you play a central role in this. And so as you're a woman here breathing, not needing to be anything more than what you are in this moment, just checking in and asking yourself, so if I was suddenly like queen of health and healing of the world, what would be the characteristics, really the feel? What would the feel be of the vision that I'd like to bring forward? What qualities would be present? And just allowing your mind to open up, to open way, way up. And seeing what are the things that feel essential to you about a vision of real health, real healing for both individual, collective, and the earth herself. And holding perhaps one or two of those in your mind. On every inhale, imagine that you could feed whatever that quality or whatever that feel is, to grow it, to give it life. And on every exhale, imagine that you could breathe that out into the world. So on every breath in, you're feeding, you're giving life to. And on every exhale, you're sharing that out into the world. And so let's do that 5 times, 5 breath cycles together. And we'll do that together in silence. And may it be so. And let's all think that to ourselves together. May it be so. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. So I just feel so much emotion right now. You know, to be sitting and having this possibility of really talking about what matters most and about trying to bring that into the world with other women. So I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to have this conversation with you. And I do pray that it may be so. Everything, whatever anybody was growing inside. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sue. So why don't we just open it up just for a minute or a couple minutes before Sarah talks. If anything came up for you during Sue's meditation or anything that she said, feel free to chat, and I'm going to put it on speaker gallery. Just raise your hand and feel free to just share what came up for you, what resonated with you. And um, I will say one thing that really resonated for me. So when you were talking about this system that was created that was like, the best possible at that time, right? It was, sometimes it was the loudest voice that was heard. So I think of like just even the whole thing around trans fats, that the science wasn't even backed up, but the guy that had the loudest voice won. Like it wasn't even, the true facts. And so it's, I just think about all these systems that were created by people that were just, had big egos and a lot of confidence and were able to get their point across better than anybody else, even if maybe it wasn't, the best researched or best answer, whatever. So that just came up for me, and I just wondered, anyone else have anything that they want to raise their hand and contribute about this kind of paradigm that Sue talked about, Andrea?
There I am. Okay. Thank you so much, Sue. That was fantastic and lovely, and just, validated everything I'm feeling and thinking for the past couple of years, really. But when you asked us to think of the qualities, and for me, what came to me was simplicity and peace and community. And I've been envisioning small communities living together, multi-generational, everybody close to the earth, fresh air, fresh food. And there isn't this health problem at all. There isn't a physical or even emotional health problem, because that's the solution to all of it. Is that we're connected to people, and we have sharing and caring, and we have all the food and the fresh air and physical work. We do work rather than sit in front of a computer. We walk, just back to the very simple way of living, which nobody can profit from. So, that takes care of all the other systems totally breaking down. I'm a holistic pediatric nurse practitioner, and I've come out of the traditional system for the past 15 years now. And but I know that system, and I know how poisonous it is. But those are my thoughts, and that's my vision.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you. Dana?
Yeah, to sort of dovetail on what Andrea said and what Susan were saying, what came up for me during the meditation is our modern lives, or the way that society has put priority in certain ways that we live our modern lives, is killing us all. And Andrea, what you were saying is this balance between the amazing discoveries in technology and the natural world, somehow finding a balance between those two, rather than putting everything in technology and mining resources and everything. So for me, it's trying to find a way to live holistically in harmony with our natural selves, but also taking the best of, without doing harm, of technology and advancements. We are, all of us, the future, and we're trying to figure out how to live as human beings with all these new technologies in our modern lives. So how can we do that where we holistic, how can we do that? And that's what comes up for me is I am a person living in this modern world, but I don't want to do many of the things that society or medicine, because it doesn't feel right in my soul. So how can we balance this? That's definitely what came up for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana, so much. I love what Bethany said for Sue's meditation. I felt connection to the body, to the earth, and to our ancestors. Yeah, Donna, do you want to add something?
Yeah. So Tracy, when you were saying one of your reactions was about the guy who kind of coined trans fats, spoke the loudest, got the most attention. That seems to be prevailing in our society. I think what we need to do more, and what came up for me in the meditation in a new system, is more listening, that kind of softer, what's between the lines of communication, listening to ourselves, listening to each other, I think is helpful in a healing space. Also, though, feeling connected with, to our own hearts and our own passions and what we want to be doing, what we want to be creating and cultivating. And in that world, we can, better connect with with community and who those are, what that means for us, and also connect better and make a more conscious connection with nature to help us to heal. So, technology definitely has its place. A lot of these new inventions have its place. I think sometimes when they come out, we have a middle school age approach to it all, where we just kind of, and everything has a light and a shadow side, including the way we go after some of this stuff. And I think the way we go after some of technology, and it's more of that real middle school kind of, aggression, or it's fine to have a childlike curiosity, and we should, but when we start really messing around with it in a way that is intentionally not going to serve us, to be causing trouble with it, mischievous with it, is not serving us at all. So I think our intention has to be thought out before we pursue some of the stuff that we do with the changing technologies and systems, so that they can really support us instead of kind of be stressful for us.
Thank you, Donna. And I think I love what Donna was saying too. When we talked about, the loudest voice and so forth. And I think I'll segue to Sarah about, as women, a big part, and as wellnesspreneurs, as business women, it's hard to find our voice when we're so worried about all the other stuff that, and so I think the more clear we are on our vision and our voice, and that's our work, right? But I think I'll introduce Sarah now to really to segue into that, how you may, and to talk about, as women, how we kind of cultivate that and balance that out with the masculine. So Sarah, thank you so much I'm glad you got a chance to listen to everybody.
Yeah, such a beautiful group. So good to be here with you all. And Sue, thank you for that. It was super moving. And I'm kind of throwing out what I had planned in order to respond to what's going on here. So I want to just lift up the possibility that everything changes for the better when women get really clear about our energy. Like when I know where my energy goes and you know where your energy goes, we know what we're for and what we're simply not for anymore. So we know here that the answers for a new paradigm, whatever that may look like, are inside of women. We know that the answers are inside of women for where we're going. But we also know that we have a lot of like feminine masculine distortion, like this thing called patriarchy, and a lot of inner fighting as a woman to, for the right to be who we are, and all of those kinds of stories. So I look at feminine masculine as archetypes, but like energetics or frequencies, behavioral characteristics that we all have within us. So I'm a primarily feminine essence being. I identify as a woman, but I have feminine and masculine inside of me, which isn't something that I was really aware of. Like when I was a school principal and I was climbing career ladders and like got the master's degrees and, was like playing the game and had like severe adrenal fatigue by 32. It's because I was in a masculine orientation of push. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Like if you've thought about that before, if you're like, ooh, never heard it. Okay, cool. So when I got this ping that I was going to become an entrepreneur and coach women, I did that. And I left the profession of education. And when I did that, my pendulum kind of like swung to this feminine side, because there were so many things that I was having a feminine awakening and like rediscovering the feminine and the sacred feminine and Mary Magdalene and all of this spiritual information. And I was like, I'm going to swing my focus of my days in my business. And it was like all in this feminine energetic. And if I had an emotional experience in the middle of the day, which I did, because I was a woman who was leaving like a very high impactful career, and I had a lot of trauma in my body and things like that. And I knew I was working that out. And I knew it was part of like owning a soul business, was to really do all of this work on myself. If I had an emotional process in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday, like that just got prioritized. And I was like, I'll work later. Well, the money wasn't coming in. And like the structures weren't in place. And so then I was like, oh yeah, over time, it took me time to be like, oh, the education system had these organizational structures, and I haven't implemented something like that in my own business per se. And so, the money is leaky and my energy is leaky, and I'm just like putting myself out there anywhere. Like, do you want some of what I got? Do you want some of what I got? I'll do this free event. I'll like put myself over here. And it's like, why doesn't anybody want me? Well, I wasn't respecting my own energy, and I didn't have a right relationship with the masculine in my business. So masculine to me, like feminine and masculine to me, like I said, their energetics, their behaviors, like I'm always like, what's my inner feminine doing? What's my inner masculine doing? That's how I live my life. And then it's also like, there's a masculine and feminine in every relationship, every partnership. And then feminine and masculine is also, to me, mother, father, God. So it's also a spiritual walk. And so healing my relationship with the masculine was like some business behavior, some relational introspection, some sacred masculine reflection, like all of that. And it continues, it keeps going. But then like in business, when that pendulum had swung, then I was like trying to figure out what the masculine was. And then I was like, oh, I'm not making money. What did I do? I started hustling. Like, we work really hard. So fast forward, like women are given, this old paradigm template of like how to run a business, how to make money. And I would say that we don't really have a new paradigm template of how to run business as a female entrepreneur in feminine masculine integration. I don't usually use the word balance right there because it's not balance. It's what are both doing inside of us. The way I describe feminine masculine also conceptually, one way to look at it would be to say that there are like 6 expressions, okay? 3 feminine and 3 masculine. So let's just hear me out here. So there's a conscious feminine and a conscious masculine. That's like idealistic, right? We could say that that's like sacred feminine, sacred masculine, like the archetypes that we look to say, what are these things? But the human behaviors usually land in a hyper expression of one or the other, or a hypo expression, like a hyper or a collapsed expression. So what we call like toxic masculine in our culture is really a hyper expression of masculine. Because it's like, I'm going to get whatever I need to get. I'm going to go after the answers. I'm going to climb the ladders. I'm going to push anybody else aside. I'm going to do hierarchy, right? Like, and that's what our culture has known as masculine, but it's not an actualized expression of the masculine. So because I only have a little bit of time this evening, here's what I want to invite us to, is to really look at what our own relationship is with feminine and masculine in, let's just say, in business for the sake of this evening. Because I bet that every single one of us expresses hypermasculinity in our business, because that's the old template. We push, we make ourselves tired, we work like 2 hours or 5 hours after we should have. We work when we're tired. We drink like caffeine, that taxes our adrenals, right? So this is like foundational example of, okay, we want a new paradigm where the feminine is respected and the conscious feminine can come to the table and be heard. How are we doing that in our own businesses every day? And let's start there. So I really like to look at, like I said, what's the inner feminine doing? What's the inner masculine doing? Well, has my inner feminine gotten to sit down and really like contemplate that deep material that is my intuition, that is exactly where those new paradigm answers are? Like, has it gotten to go deep with that? And if I haven't supported that, but instead I'm pushing ahead, I'm actually just perpetuating the old paradigm. Okay. So I want to also just like throw out another concept that if we're talking about new paradigm and we're talking about wanting to respect the feminine, let's talk about women's resources and earth resources and feminine resources, just a minute. Okay. So we want to feel connected to the earth, to this new paradigm, to like what the feminine wants to birth. On any given day, our resources are our time, where our attention goes, our bodies, our life force energy. And I would say like what we think about, right? But that's it. Like those are our resources. So where I give my time, my attention, my body's resources, what I invest those in is what I am birthing, is what I am creating. So if I watch the news and I look at what man in a suit is doing on the news, and then I spend 2 hours upset about that and calling my girlfriends, I just wasted time. Because I'm here to create a new planetary like paradigm. And so if I don't like what's on the news, I don't even watch it, honestly. But like, how am I using my time, my life force energy, my attention, my body to create the world that I want to see? And tracking that. And then how is my inner masculine standing the heck up for those feminine resources? Because that's what the sacred masculine does. The sacred masculine guards the feminine, like stands at the door and says, you do your magic. We don't have a template for sacred masculine in our culture. So we have to stop looking for those examples of masculine outside of ourselves. And it's really an inner remembrance. Okay. Sue was talking about maps and territories. I actually try to make maps, but they're just like my conceptual maps. So when I heard you say that, at sarahpoet.com, I have a map of like 10 phases of what it usually looks like for women awakening on a feminine masculine path, like modern women, go-getter women like you all. And it's called the Pathway for Modern Women. And if you use the code Remembering Now, I'll gift it to you for free. But it's like this 77-page ebook. It's like my thoughts on this process. So it's a map that I'm happy to gift you. And I can put that in the chat. Yeah, thank you, Tracy. So happy to take questions about that. And I'm sure I'm already over 10 minutes, but I could talk about these things all day. But I really want to encourage you to, like, women are so used to giving our energy away. In the old paradigm actually existed on stealing feminine energy. That's a whole other thing, but that's how it existed. Like, women's life force energy was just expected to be given. You know, you just gave it to your husband, you just gave it to your work, you just gave it away because that's what was expected. And so as we bring back our own right to our own life force energy and start making decisions from that place, we choose what we birth. I made it sound really simple, but it's like every single day making that decision. And then when somebody asks you for your energy, you can say like, no. I mean, I had a man kind of demand that I emotionally labor for him this week. And I said, I got 5 appointments. I'll talk to you in potentially 2 weeks. Like, just no. Like, you just can't have it, you know? And so download code Remembering Now. I think that'll work. And if not, I'll fix it right after this call. I'll type it in. Thank you. I would use all caps, probably in one word.
Oh.
So thank you so much. And I'm happy to answer questions. This road of feminine masculine integration in both business, money, relationship is like my whole world, my whole world and how I live. So
Thank you, Sarah.
happy to answer questions, of course.
And you know, just as you were talking, and I'll feel free to just raise your hand, or you can put little hand up in the technology or in the chat. But you know, everything that you were saying resonated so much because, you know, as I don't even always use the word healers, but as people who are trying to empower other people, the more that we can show up, and as Sue is saying, be, you know, like, stand in what we believe in and how we want to eat, because I know so many people that want to eat healthier and do all these things and be, but they are caught up in the rat race, and so they can't. So, you know, I think so much of how we show up for ourselves reflects on how we show up for our clients, to give them the space to really you know, follow their own energy and where they need to go. So I just thought that was really beautiful. And I just think it resonates with every woman, every man, but as women who are really trying to, you know, offer transformation is really important.
Yeah. And what we don't realize, you know, in this whole paradigm, old paradigm of giving ourselves in order to get acceptance and giving ourselves in order to like get clients and, you know, all those things, all we have to be is ourselves, you know, like that really is it. Like Dana was saying, this soul alignment and what the soul calls us to do, you know, all prosperity is actually absolutely connected with us actually living our truth, which the old paradigm will not have you know.
I wanted you to maybe expand on something that it really hit me when you were saying it, is that calling on the male side of ourselves to protect the female and allow the female to do what we're here to do. Like, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because that just really hit me. I was just like, whoa, that's a big aha, right?
I'm so glad. And I'm actually so glad that you just said something that I didn't clarify. So when I say feminine, I don't mean female. And when I say masculine, I don't mean male. Okay. Because those are gender words. And so it's more like, and again, we don't have a map for this, like how this is done. So if you want the masculine, and we see that primarily in men, if you want the masculine to like be different on the planet, start asking yourself, what characteristics do I feel are connected to the sacred masculine? What do I crave in my feminine heart? So the things that we commonly associate with masculine are safety, provision, space holding, taking care of the women and children. Like these are the things that we want to see from the masculine and men. Like we want to see our men like stand up and like really provide and really know themselves and really like, not talk over people in a meeting and that kind of thing. Right. And so it's really just asking ourselves how we are in relationship with those characteristics as our own behaviors. And so like I'm a single mama of a 13-year-old boy. And the other day we have 3 pets and they're all female. And he's like, look, this whole feminine thing is outweighing the masculine in this house and I'm not okay with it. And I said, actually, kiddo, like I am using a lot of masculine to parent you, right? Because I am like bringing in the money. I'm creating the structures. I'm creating the containers. So structure is an amazing masculine quality. I have a whole thing about structure and flow you can find on my website too. So the inner masculine is going to begin to evolve in the way that we want to see the masculine evolve. And then guess what we also do? We stop asking so much of men or like projecting it onto men and saying like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Or where's my soulmate? Or like whatever we're saying about like wanting it from the outside. And then here's what happens magically. When we do this integration on the inside, the men around us they're like, where are we going? Okay, she's got some like magic that I didn't know she had, and I'm following her. So they clean up their act. It's just energy, like it's just law. So yeah, like this focus outward of like, what are the men doing? Why aren't they doing better? Just like, let's just stop and remember the sacred masculine inside of us and in our hearts, and then just start living in accordance with that. Totally takes time, but it works.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I know I have a million. Anyone raise their hand? I see we've got some comments, people witnessing this for sure. One of the things I was going to ask was, I really, again, coming back to this, like creating clarity around who we are and what we offer is really important. So how does that come in where we take this, this stance where it's feminine, meaning, feminine and masculine, I think the structure of our message and those kinds of things, but how would you say we balance out? Because I just think that's so important as we step into our businesses. And I've heard so many women say, I really want to be 100% into my business, but I'm afraid to be all in, like, so we just do these like baby steps in and just, and that's okay. You just have to keep stepping forward every day. But can you maybe talk a little bit about that? And I love how you said it's not a balance of masculine and feminine, because it's almost what's the word I'm looking for, that flexibility to know which you need at whatever time. But can you just talk about how that affects how we put ourselves out in the world?
Thank you. So we all have masculine related trauma. Like as women in a patriarchy, we all have trauma related to an old paradigm masculine. And this is true for structures, for relationships, our ancestral trauma, like the epigenetics, past lives. If you go that direction, it's all like influencing and culminating, but we have the power to transmute it all when coming into wholeness. But to answer your question more directly, we have these like trepidations as a result of the traumas. So it's like my masculine related trauma was like directly related to my voice and how scared I was to actually own who I am. And so the owning of the voice and the owning of the message, it happens over time. So I almost feel this like if there's a pressure to stand in your business in your fullness, like right now, that's almost like that hyper masculine, like get it all right away kind of thing. And so I would advise, if I were working with a woman, it's like, well, what is the comfort zone? Like, where is her nervous system actually comfortable? And then we're working on those feminine and masculine behaviors inside of that, like, zone of the regulation, right? And then like when that's formulated, then she feels bigger. Like when you're showing up for yourself in a really integrated way and practicing some of this feminine and masculine, then what happens is your feminine is safer to get bigger. Like you are safer to get bigger and hold more in your business. And so, there are energetics of this that support like the growth and evolution of a business. But to say, I'm going to step out and I'm going to, own all of my truth right away and make $1 million and all of that, it's probably dysregulating the nervous system that has some trauma around like feminine masculine related trauma. Sue, I just want to like pop it back over to you because I've been talking a lot. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just think as I'm sitting here, I'm just so aware of all of the layers and levels and ins and outs of this conversation, and I wonder kind of where to go from here as a group. Tracy, is this like an opportunity for us to have smaller group conversations or just ways to kind of parcel out with everything that we come to the table with and what it is that we most want and and kind of how to step forward from here, basically. Trace, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. So, I was thinking we would break out into groups and it would give people an opportunity to introduce themselves and also talk about what's really coming up for them in this discussion. Um, and I just think it's a great way to kind of network and see what other women are feeling and take the temperature of people in the group. So, does that sound good to everyone? We could stay in a bigger group, but I thought maybe it would be nice to break up. And I really love giving people the opportunity to introduce themselves. So that sound good? Thumbs up for that?
Yeah. So
So we
Trace,
have
do we
five.
want to give people, besides the introductions and getting to know, do you want to like kind of give each little group some kind of a specific focus,
I
based
mean,
on what?
do you have a question, Sue? I have a couple thoughts other than introducing themselves and seeing what resonates. But do you have a question that you might ask people?
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep coming back to your title about like finding voice for our collective vision and, something around that, something around that.
Yeah. Well, so maybe that's it. Just really how as we women collectively, how can we um, come together to do this, and what's our role in this? Do we have a role in this? How do we organize around this? How do we organize around this? I don't know. you know, the conversations are a start. We're not looking here to protest. We're not looking here to create a system, but I do think it's really, really important. So why don't we do that? Just kind of, you know, how do we find our voice and vision to show up for this movement and wellness? And just would love people's ideas on that. And also, yeah, just you know, introduce yourself, kind of what's resonating for you, and any ideas about of how you want to show up. So we lost a couple people, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So I'm just going to randomly put us into groups.
And so Trace, I'm going to also just say, like, maybe too, to just kind of hone it towards the positive too, is just what are people's specific qualities around the vision? You know, what do we want?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we want?
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put people in rooms, and I'm going to split a few of us up into this. So there's one room, patient. Sue. Okay. And the last room. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms. Why don't we take about 12 to 15 minutes? Let's say 15 minutes max. I'll give you the 1 minute reminder. And yeah, does everyone understand what we're doing? So we're going to introduce each other, what's our role in this, and what's resonating for us. All right, so I will be back and give you like a 12-minute reminder.
Doing what we should never do is just be complacent. All of us just sat there and looked at each other, being polite and going.
That doesn't make me rude, does it?
No. But everybody was quiet for a little bit there, and so it just made it. I think in all of this, listening to everyone, I feel that my biggest mistake in my life is that I was a people pleaser. And so I've studied feminine, masculine. I was a polarity educator, getting very heavy into all of this. And
did you introduce yourself, Susan?
Susan Burdick.
Introduce, and so they know who you are, and then your vision. And yeah, so just one, just really back just to make sure.
My vision actually is very quite simple. After a lifetime of doing everything in the world, I'm just me. You're not going to please everyone. You don't have to, in my opinion, because I did study masculine and feminine, you don't have to be, you don't have to be like, I'm going to go get it. And you don't have to be passive either. Just be yourself. And you know who was my teacher? Watching Oprah Winfrey. Did you ever watch any of her Instagram posts? As we worry about what we look like, and are we going to look good? Are we going to look smart? Are we going to really make our business successful? She doesn't give a darn. And she comes across in the craziest clothes and says the most unintelligent things at times on her Instagram posts. And so by watching this time and time again, I realized you don't have to be masculine. You don't have to be feminine. Just be you. It's that simple.
Who else wants to jump in?
I'll go next. I'm Nanette Murphy. I am a divorce and health coach. I like to call myself now a mentor. I have an online community for divorced women divorcing after 20 plus years of marriage. And strangely enough, Tracy, when this Roundtable came up with you're using your voice. I'm actually just writing an article for a book that I was asked to be a part of, and it's about finding your voice and using your voice. And I just want to share this quote that literally I had to have a little nap before this because 7 o'clock's kind of late for me. I turn in, I shut my day down early. So as I'm falling, resting, these words came to me. I found my voice by building my confidence while growing my strength, mind, body, and soul. So now that I can use my voice to guide and inspire other women, because my intention is to help other women who basically went through or going through the same thing I went through, divorce, later in life, struggling to find yourself. And that's my vision. That's what I'm going to help other women do. And when, I don't remember the lady, the first woman that spoke, I don't remember her name, but what do we want to put out there? What do we want to give? And my first thought was I want to give peace. But yet I want to give peace through having them build their strength. You can have peace in your life, but you can still be strong, mind, body, and soul. So that is, that's the purpose in my, third chapter of my life. Is that where I am right now? So yes, that's my purpose of using my voice.
Thank you, Nanette.
Yeah.
Who else wants to hop in?
Great. Well, I'll go. I'm Perla Phillips. I own a holistic fitness business, mindset, menus, and movement. I am a dream weaver, a soul seeker, a professional connector. And my vision is to live in my truths and guide others to live in their truth. And I always thought that was an easy thing. And Susan, I so resonated with being a people pleaser because I found myself in this one woman circle that I just didn't fit in. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially the person who invited me to this specific place or this group. And I wrote a few different, this is why. Bottom line, I sat in my truth. And it was from that moment on, regardless of how difficult it might be, I owe it to myself. I owe it to my children. I owe it to my husband. I owe it to everybody to live in my truth and support others to do the same. Live in a world of love and kindness.
Just be you.
Just be you, baby.
But it's funny because I think that as wellnesspreneurs, I wrote, and I can't remember where it was the other day, that we help through mindfulness, through working out, through all these, we help people. It's that human condition. We help people overcome the human condition. Because when you're stressed out or don't feel good in your body, you can't, it's harder to feel peace and love, really, which is all what so we help people with the messiness. We help people manage the messiness of their lives so that they can get rid of some of that and come to the peace and love. And because that's what it's all about, right? I mean, sure, there's material things and this and that, but it's just, so. But it takes work, doesn't it? It takes work. Unfortunately, we were, gifted with fear, anxiety. We're the animals, right? And animals trying to live in a friggin' technological world, but we're still animals.
Very true.
I'll share just because what I could really resonate with what Perla had just said about being and also Suzanne about being the people pleaser. Of course, I think we're kind of naturally like that as women sometimes. But she had mentioned about being part of groups that, she just kind of knew she didn't fit in. And I feel like I often get in those groups because I end up being like a chameleon. Like I can fit in with everyone, but then I end up like not actually fitting in with anyone because I'm not really aligned with what my truth is and what I really want. So my big vision is to become a little bit more aligned with that, maybe doing a little bit less of the masculine, like how she had mentioned, because I am like hustle. But I oh, I should have started by saying I'm Alexis and I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist. And my real vision is to really treat especially women with those pelvic floor conditions that they don't usually talk about, anything with the urinary tract, the GI tract, the reproductive tract that we find challenging to talk about, and to find health and wellness through there. And kind of a lot of my uphill battle is convincing women to actually take care of themselves and to put themselves first. And we don't do that. And I just feel like what would the world be like if women actually took care of themselves? Everyone else would benefit too. So kind of, I don't know. I kind of rambled there for a second, but I'm just feeling all the stuff that people are saying.
Oh, that's awesome. Where are you located, Lexi?
I am in North Carolina, the Raleigh area.
Nice. Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm in Western Massachusetts. I'm very, very close friends with Sue. Tracy, I feel like I know you very, very well because we talk so much about you and your connection. So yeah, I'm sitting with what this is bringing up for me. I identify, I guess, as a multifaceted entrepreneur, and I have lots of different interests. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. I'm a MELT method instructor. I have a very robust practice as a peak performance coach, working with athletes who have performance problems. It's not my passion, but it's where a lot of the income comes in. And so I'm at a different stage around vision, because I feel like I'm in more of a simmering and organic emergence place around what my evolving vision is. And so oftentimes it was an edge, I think, for me to come tonight, because I really identify, Lexi, with what you're saying around kind of going into groups and feeling like kind of being like that outlier or like not fitting in. And so I think for me, what was coming up tonight was around belonging and do I identify as a wellnesspreneur, and what does that even mean? What does that mean to me? And always really feeling like I don't fit in. So I feel grateful for the space to just name that that's just what's up for me around that. And also feeling really called, I've been working a lot with entrepreneurs and women who are stepping out and being more visible. And so I've been holding a lot of one-on-one containers for women to sort of kind of the peak performance that I've been doing with the athletes, but working with women who are stepping out in their businesses to feel and generate more confidence and embodied authenticity, and to digest and process a lot of ancestral stuff that we carry, or childhood stuff that we carry. So there are many threads that I feel like I weave into that would make me feel like I would fit here. And then I'm noticing sort of inside that internal struggle as everyone's well, not everyone, right? I'm hearing from a few people, but are very aligned or feel really connected to vision. And I feel like that's something I hold a lot as not being clear, and knowing, and the clarity for me comes in trusting and believing that will emerge for me as I keep following the threads. And so being able to just orient that in my truth as okay, and it's okay that I don't know how to identify what that is in this moment, and continuing to be in my business from that place, which has been an interesting past 5 years of, kind of just being a lot in the feminine and holding the masculine structures and just letting it kind of take me in a particular direction without quite knowing where I'm going. So that was a lot. So thank you for listening. That's where I'm at right now.
I think it's interesting how that's come up for a lot of people, that whole outside looking in or not feeling like we fit in. And so that's something I'd love to understand better. I know I felt that way myself as well. And that's, I guess, it's probably one of the reasons that I bring women together, was because I want that connection. I come from a very masculine family. And so I feel like everywhere I've been, when I worked in Washington in the water sector, I had women in water, I'm always bringing women. One of my friends is like, "You really like to bring women together." I'm like, "I do because I just feel I don't have a sister. I mean, thank God I've got really good friends that I can connect with, and but I just think it's really, really important." So.
Mhm.
I'm going to let you guys keep talking and then I'm going to jump out and give a 2-minute warning. So thank you guys for coming and
Thanks,
just
Tracy.
keep talking amongst yourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was so freeing to report to that group, like,
Okay. I was going to give some closing thoughts and I wanted to make a nice announcement for some things that are coming up for us that I'm really excited about. But I just wanted to give the floor or the chat room to anyone else for making any comments or closing remarks, whether it's Sue or Sarah, or if anyone wants to say anything. I know we just had our chats, but if anyone feels the calling to just kind of step forward, feel free to do that. And we're going to be doing these quarterly, these wellness roundtables quarterly. And so just keep an eye out. The next one, I have some ideas for the topic, but if you have some other ideas, let me know as well. Just feel free to reach out to me. So anyone want to make, Susan and Sarah, do you want to give any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I would love to just share this quote, as things come. I have no idea. I was just looking through some notes or whatever, and this is from Zach Bush, if anybody knows his work, but he says, the path is not linear. If so, you are stuck in another's paradigm. And I just love that because I love that knowing that what we're doing here is not linear. It's being created, we're birthing as we go. It's shifting, it's changing, it's evolving. And I just think that takes so much courage. And also a certain sense of and a need actually for groundedness, right? Because it's like, some days it's like riding a comet, some days it's like riding a tsunami, some days you're just like floating on your back and it's super still and peaceful, and then you're back down some rabbit hole again. And so I just always come back to, while this is collective, at the center of that is each and every one of us and how it is that we're taking care of ourselves. And mostly, I guess what I would add to this too is there's been something that I've been saying to myself quite a bit these days is like, if I weren't making myself wrong right now, what would I know or what would I see? And that for me has really been taking me to some incredible places, because it can be really difficult when you're not doing a status quo thing, but you have a sense of it and you've got your hands on it, but maybe you don't have the full thing yet. And it can be hard to stand in the presence of whatever the thing that looks so established and so finished and so done, and to sit there in your ever evolving unfinished state and to not be like judging yourself. And so that sense of like, if I wasn't making myself wrong right now, like what would I see? And I think that for me has been a really powerful thing. So I guess that's what I just wanted to share with everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue. Sarah, do you want to say anything?
Sure. This has been really inspiring, Tracy. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for doing your work and, gathering these women in your membership and in your collective, right? Because we need one another to cross pollinate our ideas and to build the energy. The days of like women being an island are over because I know I birthed alone, I raised the baby alone, and like, let's stop doing that with our businesses as well,
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Great. Mhm.
Yeah. And the other thing, the closing thoughts, in terms of women's energy recently, Sue inspired me to share with you what I've been thinking about lately is this habit of productivity and catching myself in the habit of okay, I have a moment, how can I be productive? And instead being like, okay, I have a moment, what wants to happen? What wants to be created? What maybe that feminine wants to like sit down, so, okay, I have a moment, what's real in this moment versus like, what can I produce? How can I keep hustling? So just leave that.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you both so much for coming and for taking the time to do this, and for all of you guys for showing up. And um, I feel a connection. And as we went into the breakout rooms, I can feel many of us have had this feeling of being on the outside looking in, or feeling we're on the periphery. And so it just encourages me to keep doing this even more, because we're not alone. Many of us are feeling this, but we don't have a forum to share it, especially as women in wellness, women in business, and so forth. So, I really encourage you, and we have many members on here from the Women's Wellness Exchange. And, every month we meet to do workshops. We have monthly check-ins, we have monthly challenges. And this month, the challenge is to reach out through the platform that we have. It's a virtual wellness center, to connect with another woman. And a lot of women are connecting through these programs and offerings that we have every month. And so two things. One of the things that I wanted to announce this week is, so many of us, if you've, I know, have done so many different wellness programs and had gone to schools and to teach yoga or community centers, and so many times we have to work for free, right? People ask, oh, I don't have any money to do it, but it'd be so great if you could do this in the school or whatever. And so we are launching a community wellness fund, which is an opportunity for us to fund women who want to do these programs, but the school can't provide it. And I don't think we should work for free. So that's going to be coming out here in this next week or so. And the deadline for application is June 1st. And our first grant will be up to $500. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think this is something I've been wanting to do for years. So I'm taking many steps forward to make that happen. So I wanted to let you guys know that. The other thing, if you are not a member, I know we have quite a few members on here of the Women's Wellness Exchange. If you're not a member, I really invite you to check out our community. And as I mentioned, we do monthly workshops. We have monthly networking circles. The workshops are many times peer-to-peer, but I also bring in experts, and I myself lead some of them around, we did a marketing manifesto. We did we're doing something on creating content, a content framework. We do things on, we've done workshops on finding your feminine. So every month is a little bit different. And it's all to help you really, really keep cultivating, yourself and your business, and showing up for yourself and getting clear on your voice and vision. We do Instagram live interviews. My goal is to promote the platform so that people can find you. We do 4 events a year that really bring visibility to it. We do a Rise and Shine event, which is events all featuring our members. So it gives you an opportunity to step outside, maybe do some things that you haven't done before, create videos and so forth. And then we also do, we connect through the various platforms as well. So we typically offer a 14-day membership for free for people to check it out. And that's what we're offering right now. But I'm going to put a link in for a free 30-day membership for anyone who wants to just come in, try out the platform, try out a workshop, fill out your profile. We announce all of our new members. We love to interview on Instagram. Our mission really is to promote, to support, and connect you as members. So I'm going to just go ahead and put that link in the chat, and I'll send a follow-up email as well, so that you can check that out and take advantage of that offer. It's not listed on the website. This is just a secret special offer that I'm putting out for you guys tonight. So check that out, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I'll have that open till 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And yeah, I'm just really excited to announce and to launch this community wellness fund. So that's really it for me. I will send out the recording. I look forward to hearing from you guys in any way, shape, or form. I'll make sure to include our Instagram link so that we can find each other on Instagram. I'll put our LinkedIn and other social media. You can also reach out to any of, or I don't know, raise your hand if you're a member. I know we've lost a lot of people, but you can also find all of our members on our virtual wellness center. And you can reach right out to them. You can get leads and send reviews and all that kind of stuff. So you can always find us on there. So thank you guys so much for coming. Really, Sarah and Susan, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the next one already. If you have any ideas or inspiration that came from this, just so appreciate you guys coming, and thanks from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks,
Good to see
Tracy.
all of you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Bye. You can unmute and say goodbye if you want.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Crystal.